came back, he besieged it and then squashed it, crushed it, burned it, and took that temple apart stone by stone so there wasn't.
I've heard that too. Yeah. Yes, they came up with the numbering system. Each camp had a different. If you were at Auschwitz, it was A. Buchenwald was BU. Bergen-Belsen was BB, and then came the number after that. But I said to that gentleman this morning that when the Hungarian Jews got to Auschwitz, they didn't even bother to tattoo their arms because they were sent directly to the gas chambers. They managed to murder more Hungarian Jews in a 11-month period than they did in the rest of the occupied Europe from 1938 to 1945. The Hungarian Jews were just set for extermination. Yes, but you're right, IBM did come up with the numbering system.
Now I've heard also where IBM is behind the radio frequency identification device, which they want to mark the people with a chip. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't heard that
Okay.
story. I'm not
Maybe
familiar
you
with
look
that one.
into that.
It's a technology where they get a small chip and they stick it in your arm and they can use it for identification, your
To
blood
track
type
you.
and all that kind of stuff. I
But
personally,
I'll have to look that up.
But it's, you must help your it's like when you think of Alzheimer's, of a family member wandering away, oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you can
Right,
get
yeah.
your dog back, it's a
Right, right.
wonderful
Yeah.
idea.
That's where it
Oh,
started.
with this whole chaos with the medical system, it'll help you keep track of your medical records.
Right.
but it's
You
also
know,
a loss
right.
of freedom. because
Right,
you
no,
use
I
your
know,
thumb.
but I mean, that's how it goes, and would you say with what you're seeing of, sorry to anyone who's on the other side, with what you're seeing of the behavior of some of our leadership, I don't think we can wait till September to talk about the elections, the way the pastor, no offense to Dave, he's got some serious, and I got serious issues, of if we can't stand by, do whatever, drive people to the polls, talk to people, do whatever, because it's this thing just seems, I've read more history on the 20th century than I ever wanted to. Mine stopped with Lincoln. And it's just terrifying, the same sentences, the same arguments, the same lifting, almost direct quotes of the sentences that were used by both the Russians and the fascists.
Yeah.
You can't wait, or we'll be sitting here waiting. I feel.
The old saying is that if we forget history, we're doomed to
Yeah.
repeat it.
Yeah, I know, that's.
So
And it
it's
can
not-
happen here, it's happened
just
here in the 20s.
Circles all over again. Yes, ma'am.
I've been working on my family tree, and I wonder if there are places like Ancestry.com and genealogy that have many of the lists of the people that were murdered.
They don't, but what they have now found I can't off the top of my head remember the name of the town in Germany, but it was a mountain, and underneath the mountain were millions and millions of documents. Where do we get the figure of 6 million Jews and 5 million non-Jews? From the records that the Nazis kept themselves. Okay? They were not ashamed of what they were doing.
Right.
After all, who were they murdering? Undesirables. So all these records just came out now. And you can track, they will be released. They're still, right now, are for only the people who are tracking family relatives.
Right.
They will be released to the general public in next year or the year after, I believe.
Because I come from German descent on my
Yeah,
dad's
no.
side, and I have gone all the way back and found what ship his ancestors came over the States, and I'm just like, okay, this might be another piece back, so. get
Yes,
ready.
ma'am. Oh, yes, sir, whichever.
My grandmother was a historian and a genealogist, and the Mormon Church has
Yes,
incredible genealogical records. The bigger places where they have the temples have the best sets of records.
Right.
I have 4 first cousins who live in Israel. 3 of them from my father's side, 1 is from my mother's side. My cousin Tibby, who got out of Romania in 1970 and went to Israel, he is 11 years older than I am. So he is sort of the family historian. He knows things that I don't. I know things about the family that he doesn't. Unfortunately, 3 weeks ago, we lost my last living uncle. He was my mother's youngest brother. My Uncle Emery passed away at 94. But we asked him repeatedly to put down the family history, and he wouldn't. He didn't want to go back there. We do know that he got out of Romania in 1938, went to Palestine. There was no Israel. He went to Palestine and worked on the main post office in Jerusalem. He was they used him as a stonemason. He came to the United States in 1941, and in 1943 he was drafted into the United States Army. He was in the second wave of troops landing at Normandy.
Wow.
An officer heard him questioning a German prisoner of war, in fluent German. So he asked him how many languages he speaks, and my uncle said about 8. So he said to him, okay, he says, you're no longer infantry, you are now intelligence. So he spent the rest of the war questioning prisoners of war and whoever else they were suspected of being with, either the Gestapo or the SS and things like that. So that much he would tell us, but the rest of the history we had to piece together from different family members. So my cousin Tibby and I were still very sad that he would not tell us a lot of things, but can't blame him, he didn't want to go back there. Okay, yes sir.
You had mentioned that the Hungarian Jews were sent directly to the incinerators.
Most of them were sent to the gas chambers, yes sir.
They weren't given tattoos.
That's right.
Now, does this mean no records were kept to add that to the 6 million?
Oh no, the records are there.
Okay.
The records are there. Budapest, Hungary all of a sudden has become a very strong bed of Jewish resurgence. They have schools there, they have rabbinical schools there, and the old synagogue in downtown Budapest has been completely remodeled. By coincidence, the Budapest ghetto started in the back of the old synagogue. So yes, the records are still there. The Hungarians kept the records too, so they know who was deported from Hungary. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know why Ahmadinejad and all the other factions so vehemently deny the Holocaust. I mean, could it go back to Ishmael and Esau because they're genetically related? Or is it something that's in the recent
He's a
history?
politician. He's looking for an excuse. So he feels that the Palestinian, and it's funny because they were Palestinians. They weren't Arabs. Prior to 1948, there was no such thing as Arabs. It was as Palestinians. It was Arabs. So he is trying to justify and trying to keep going with all the intifadas and all the things that are going on in the Middle East. So that's his way of inciting, again, that there was no such thing as the Holocaust. As far as I know, I don't think it's anything religious in his purposes. It's just that he wants to continue the war. Israel is willing to sign peace treaties. Israel has honored every peace treaty they signed, which is more than we could say for the Palestinians.